All right, everyone, welcome in. It's another weekly edition, BTB Analytics, back with you, breaking down college football. We are in week 13, two weeks left in the regular season. What the shit, right? Here we are, boys. So we got 2 weeks left. A lot of teams actually will not be playing any more conference games. It's kind of a fascinating little wrinkle of the season, in my opinion. But nonetheless, there's several good matchups with conference game implications, CFP implications. So we're going to talk about a few of those today. We're going to talk about some free game, give out a model play at the end of this. And yeah, just look to keep the good times rolling because again, Seth, Steve, here we are, 2 weeks left in the season. Our model is hitting 60% against the spread this year, 59 and 38. So, I mean, really, unless we have some crazy volume the next couple of weeks, it's going to be hard for this thing to get into the red. Like we're going to end the season profitable. I think that's say that with a high level of confidence.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's been fun. It's been a good ride. We're not done though. We're not done. Like I said, we got a couple more weeks to go. So let's not waste any time.
This week.
Is that the official number?
6, 5, 6, something like that.
We'll recap it at the end. We'll get there at the end. Don't you worry. Yes. All right. Let's get into it though. We got a few good matchups to talk about here. So let's head over to an ACC matchup first. Why not? Let's talk about Louisville going up against SMU. So market standpoint, Seth, this one opened at -3 in favor of SMU. Looks like to be settled, probably at 2.5 now throughout the market. Model makes it -4.5 in favor of SMU here. So implication wise, like SMU is still technically in the mix for the ACC title game. ESPN, give it for what it's worth, all their projections and shit, they give them a 38% chance to make the title game still. So obviously they got to come out on top and beat Louisville, which, we have another rooting interest in this one because we're on the under Louisville 8.5 in this one. So we'll have an extra couple close eyes on this one. But from the game script and from the expectation standpoint, Seth, like my question in this one is, whose passing offense do we trust more in this one? Because neither team, I don't think we're going to see them run the ball a ton. Louisville's run rate over expected 121st in the country, and SMU's is 123rd. So we might just see things air out this whole game. So given those two, given that little tidbit here, how do you see this one going, and do you think SMU can cover in this one?
Yeah. So you started off at the top saying our model makes this 4.5 for SMU. The raw model number is 8.5 for SMU. So it does look like SMU is going to be the better throwing team. You're exactly right. Louisville is throwing the ball 10.7% more than average, and SMU throwing the ball 11% more than an average team. So both these teams love to throw it. The interesting thing I found here, we now know why Miller Moss left USC and really got forced out. 102nd passing offense for Louisville. This team is a team that is really getting most of their efficiency on the ground. 19th best rushing offense. So Louisville, even though they like to throw it, they get most of their efficiency on the ground. Now SMU is a little bit more balanced, but again, they lean into the passes like we had already went over. They are the 38th best passing offense. So again, I think SMU here is where the money probably is going to continue to go. I think it's now through 3. It's been people buying Louisville through the +3.5, +3, now 2.5s in the market. I do not think those are going to last throughout the week. SMU, the one thing that stands out to me, finishing drives much more often, 28th in points per echo on offense. When we look at Louisville, they fall to 77th in finishing those drives. So I think SMU can throw the ball better, and I think they can finish those drives better.
Yeah, the market is shaded to that 2.5. It's -115 pretty much throughout all the rec books, and even at even at Circa right now is -115, 2.5 there. So we'll see if that does last. But shout out to the chat. What's going on, guys? Mr. Katz and OU, how you guys doing? Steve, though, to follow up on some of those comments that Seth was making, again, neither of these teams are going to appear to lean into the run at all, but Louisville is a sneaky, or in my opinion, unexpected good defensive pass team, top 10, 9th to be specific.
Yeah.
So where, how does SMU navigate that? And what, if anything, can Louisville do to break our hearts in this one, if anything?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I guess the one thing I want to call out is that, yeah, we talk about the run rate over expected and how Louisville is throwing the ball more, but they can run the ball. I do want to be clear. If you look at their efficiency when they do decide to run it, they are pretty good at ranking at 19th in our database, but that's really led by Isaac Brown, who we know still has an injury. So not sure what's going to happen with him. He's going to suit up for this game, but Duke Watson is still an absolute game changer. For me, though, I'm wondering how that looks like with their efficiency to run versus SMU's run defense, which is pretty stout itself. So to me, I think that's the bigger sort of matchup in my mind. It's not that they won't run it, it's the can they run it, right? They've been using that pretty sparingly. They've been breaking off plays when they can, but I don't know if the SMU defense, which I think has exceeded expectations by all kind of intents and manners for this season, can they do that against them, right? Because if you don't, I think one of the things that you're looking at here is, what are you actually looking at for Louisville offense? And you talked about this, Seth, just alluded to it, but this whole Miller Moss experience, if you're creating third and longs for him and making him beat you solely with his arm, I'm not sure if that's actually the recipe for success for Louisville. And then for me, the other big thing I want to call out is what's going to happen with their kicking game. I mean, I don't know if you were watching this game last week, Seth. I think it was your off the numbers you had the parlay, but the kicking against Clemson. I mean, they had a missed PAT, a missed field goal late to go ahead. Then they had another missed field goal late after effectively a turnover. They could have been a game winner. They missed that one too. Two different kickers. And so, do you see Jeff Brom get more aggressive, right? We look at echo rates. Are they going to actually start going for more fourth downs instead of taking field goals, because that's not a guarantee after that debacle of last week. So that to me is kind of where the matchup I'm looking at. How aggressive will Louisville be? And you mentioned it too, Kev. I mean, this is a big game, obviously, for both teams. No one's taking the game off per se, but for SMU, like, they have to win to stay alive. And we know Louisville, it's dead at this point. So I think I agree with everything you guys just said. I'm very, very curious to see how the things turns out, but I think this would be more of an interesting wrinkle than I think most expect.
Yeah, it makes sense. Let's root. Let's hope the Mustangs figure out a way to pull it off for sure. Because I think I forget who they're. I think they play Kentucky. Is it Michigan? Oh, in the last week of the season, they play who? Kentucky. That's right. Okay,
yeah, they can lose. Team. They could lose both these games.
They could lose both. Yeah.
So. SMU. I thought this was interesting. This was not on my bingo card. Number 4 in defensive points per equal for SMU's defense. To your point, Steve, like, I don't know what's going to happen. This is kind of like bad on bad or bad on good. We talked about it a lot. Like, Louisville can't finish drives, but SMU like really deters offenses from finishing drives. So push comes to shove here. I don't know if going for it on 4th actually does anything here. We'll see. Yeah. But raw model here, 8.5. It's anybody's off the numbers. No. SMU's been a weird team. It's hard to bet on them.
I know. Yeah, for sure.
So. Every time we bet on them, they lose.
Maybe that's
not true. We bet on them against Miami. That's not true. They covered against Miami.
That's true. Yeah. So. All right. So we got one game ACC implications. We actually got another one we'll talk about here coming up. So one key one, and then another, like I said, Pitt and Georgia Tech we'll get to in a minute. But before we jump ahead to that, ladies and gents, let's jump over Big Ten. Next one on the docket here, USC traveling, going over to Eugene, Oregon. College Game Day, I think, is going back to Oregon for the second time this season, which is a goddamn travesty in and of itself. I digress. Oregon opened at -9.5 in this one, Steve. Looks like a touch 10 at a couple books, and then has largely been bought back that half point there to 9.5. So we're models on market here at 9.5 for Oregon. And I guess the way I'm thinking about this one, let me know if you agree with this, but you have two teams here, two elite offenses, frankly, but only one team has a decent or good defense. And, that's Oregon in this case. I am concerned about USC's ability to stop Oregon on the ground. So Oregon is, per our numbers, the number 2 rushing team offensively. USC is only 87th in the country at stopping the rush here. So if there is any game script, it's got to be via the ground pound and just churn and burn that efficiency, right?
I got to be honest. I don't know if it actually matters or not. I mean, first and foremost, I do want to start by saying I will never forgive the Pac-12 for what they took from us. Right. I mean, these are Pac-12 rivals. Yeah. Now they're leading conversations in the Big Ten. I mean, I know they're in Ohio State or Indiana, but just like they're making noise in this conference when everyone said Pac-12 football was dead, yada, yada, just what we could have had. But anyway, to your point, yeah, I mean, listen, this USC defense, I think, is going to be the key to this game, and I think in a negative way for everything you just mentioned. And you look at it since week 5, I mean, this team has absolutely been on a backslide, and a lot of it's been covered up by Jada Maeva's ability to throw the ball and play, a nearly elite, if not at least, really great quarterback play. But 83rd in pass rush. They, from the defensive side for USC, they're 83rd in pass rush. They third lowest pressure rate in the nation here, so they're not getting home. And while I don't know if Dante Moore is a world burner per se, what we see out of Oregon this year, he's good enough to get the job done if you give him a clean pocket and can't get home, right? And then finally, the 108th in sacks. So they're just not getting that pressure that they need, and to me, that's going to be the difference here because you mentioned it. Yeah, everything we give a lot of love to Oregon's offense, but their secondary really and their defense has really stepped up this year, and that's what's been keeping them in the games. And we were kind of talking crap up against them a couple of weeks ago against Iowa in the game. They honestly probably should have lost off that last second field goal, but it's the defense. When the offense faltered, just like we thought they would, it was really the defense that kind of held them in check and kept them in there. And so if you look at this between that. Jaden splits home and away. I just don't know if USC really has enough to kind of hold pace with Oregon. Now, that being said, the one thing I'll make as a counter argument is if you want to be a naysayer for Oregon, who has Oregon really beat this year, right? I mean, I just got done talking about that close game. They probably should have lost against Iowa. They beat a now 1-6 Penn State team. Yeah, sure, they kind of held close with Indiana, but Indiana ultimately pulled off and beat one of my 10. So if you want to make any argument that USC can compete in this game, it's that I don't think Oregon is as dominant as I think people give them credit for. But all that being said, yeah, I mean, I understand where the model's at. I understand where the market's at.
Yeah. And to that point, market, yeah, two score game right now is from the market standpoint. And I get, another way I'm thinking about this too is, do we believe that this has shootout potential? Market is sitting at 60 points basically right now. And again, I think that alludes a little bit to USC's offense and giving them credit where credit's due. But if the difference in this one is going to be Oregon's defense, Seth, do you think there's even any value in that market?
Yeah, the over-under market. Yeah, that's interesting. We're pretty much spot on. The raw number here is -10 in favor of Oregon. We have seen, USC struggle when they go against the big dog, so to speak. But I think, credit to them. They kind of just won a rock fight, which is now transitioning from the Pac-12 RIP to a typical Big Ten matchup here in November. And they were able to come out victorious there against an Iowa team that could have won that game. So I don't know. To me, that shows a little bit of grit, but we did see what happened to USC when they went against, a top blue chip ratio team in Notre Dame early in the year. So I get kind of more of those vibes from Oregon, but the thing that Oregon does better than anything is to run the ball, whereas Notre Dame actually has a lot of success throwing the ball. So I don't know. USC could have some success, but yeah, it just feels like the USC defense is the liability. But again, they had a fairly robust showing against an Iowa team that is basically on paper kind of a worse version of Oregon as far as throwing the ball, but a very similar version of Oregon when we're talking about running the ball.
Sure.
So I don't know if in a weird way, I would kind of lean into the Big 12 narrative and maybe think under there. If you're saying 10 here, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of game states to me that get into that 60s, right?
Sure.
You're either blow out Oregon, you're either limiting points, and it's more of a tight game to me, which USC's defense is a little bit better than we think they can be, maybe more similar to who they are last week, but also Oregon running the ball. It's going to eat clock. So I don't know. This to me is a tough. My gut tells me it's too many points.
Too many, yeah. That was my visceral, that was my visceral thought as well. I think to your point exactly. Unless you're gonna not rely on, but presume that you're gonna have some fluke shit happen. High variance type stuff, non-offensive scores, that type of thing. I don't see too many game states where USC can hang, cover, let alone pull out a win in this one. But I don't know. Chat, let us know what you guys think. If you guys think USC has a shot in this one, if you're feeling frisky, if you're feeling like it, plus 300 looks like the best price on the market on the money line.
Isn't this I can't remember, where did that Notre Dame line close? I think it was around this 10 number. Maybe it was
USC
14.
Notre Dame. Yeah, I'd have to go back with the
I just
archives.
think I think Oregon is going to want to run the ball here. So I think that in a way that to me does open up a little bit of variance for USC if they have success throwing the ball and Oregon's only having success running the ball. I mean, you can see that a shootout can be difficult for Oregon to pull away.
Yeah, we'll see. It should be an interesting one. Obviously, Oregon needs this one. They can't lose this one if they want to keep their positioning with respect to the CFP. So
it's a big game.
Definitely have incentive for them to roll in this one. Mike says, USC struggles. They can't stop the run. Yeah, I mean that's been the MO, like we pointed out too.
They beat Iowa, but you could argue Iowa is just so one dimensional that you just know that they're going to do that. But USC 82nd against the rush. Iowa's a top 10 rushing offense.
Yeah. Eric, shadow producer Eric, he said that line was at 10.5. USC Notre Dame. There you go.
I think Notre Dame's better than Oregon.
That game was at, where was that game? Was that game at?
I believe it was at Notre Dame.
In Notre Dame, yeah.
And I believe it rained. I don't know if it's supposed to rain here, but
we'll see. All right. Yeah. So we got a two-game spread. Oregon needs this one in the worst way, so they'll definitely be motivated. But all right.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Can I just one of the things? You know what pissed me off? You know what pissed me off about this game? I think it must have been like on social media or something like, oh man, USC hasn't won at Oregon since like 2011 or something like that. It's like they played 3 times over that span.
Yeah,
like,
huge sample size.
Pac-12 South North.
Yeah, exactly. So you're gonna hear a whole bunch of that, but yeah, that's not the reason why.
No, absolutely not.
Take those trains.
All right, 2 games in the books. We got 2 more to cover here. Don't forget, guys, towards the end of this, we're going to be giving out free model play, some free game as well. Year to date, just to remind everyone, because why not? Sometimes you got to honk your own horn when you can. 60% we're at year to date on the models record, 59 and 38. So 2 weeks left in the season. Looking to keep it going. You were right when you called it out at the beginning, Seth. We have 6 more plays on the docket this week. So we'll talk about those at the end a little bit as well. But let's move on and jump back to another potential or to an ACC matchup with some other potential big implications here. Pitt going up against Georgia Tech here. So market standpoint, Steve, this one opened at -2.5 in favor of Georgia Tech here. Is largely remained at that number. Model makes this -1.5 in favor of Tech, so not really no value on either side of this for us. It's a stay away. Again, take ESPN's projections for what it's worth, grain of salt, all that, but they are projecting Georgia Tech to be the first team out of the CFP, given their existing resume. But they can clinch an ACC title game berth with a win here against Pitt. And for what it's worth, and like Georgia Tech, they give them some credit here. They're a top 10 offense. They are number 7th in our database in terms of passing and 26 overall in rushing. But Pitt's got a good D, Steve. So how do you see this game flow shaking out? And you were shaking your head at me actually when I said that Georgia Tech's first team out here. So what do you got?
Yeah, that doesn't make I don't. It makes no sense to me. This ESPN glaze is fucking ridiculous. Every once in a while, it's the
you don't say
there.
Yeah.
It's ESPN and it's CFP, all that stuff. But everyone's saying, it's Miami because Miami's the highest ranked team, and blah blah blah. Miami's not making it to the playoff. I don't want to get in the tangent here, but like just the road to Miami getting there, like this is the conference game. If Georgia Tech wins, they've clinched a trip to the ACC game, and if they win, Miami's eliminated from the conference championship by way of tiebreaker. Essentially what happens is Virginia, even if Virginia, Pitt, and Miami all have the same record at the end of the year, conference record, Miami loses the tiebreaker because they lost to Louisville and SMU, and then Virginia only has 1 conference loss because that the NC State game wasn't a conference. But anyway, I digress. They're not making it there. So back to my thing here. Yes, Georgia Tech absolutely can win this game. This is a big game to them because remember, next week they're playing Georgia. So this is their last conference game that they have all year. And so, when I look at this, I look at Georgia Tech and their ground game, right? Like we always talk about Haynes King and how he runs. And we know that the ground game is the bread and butter offense. Haynes King, is their leading rusher. in that team right there. They run the ball 54% of the time. They're top 10 in yards per carry. Like, this is who they are, and they protect the ball, right? 5 turnovers in the first 2 games, only 5 turnovers since. Haynes King, 2 interceptions all year long. And so when I look at this, people talk about, kind of how good Pitt's run defense has been, and they have been here. But what we don't look at as well is that for all the love we give Haynes King running the ball, the dude can throw as well. I mean, in our database, we have Georgia Tech, as you mentioned, the number 7 in terms of offensive pass EPA, so they can get it done. Now, on the opposite end, listen, Pitt's no slouch. Don't get me wrong. I want no disrespect, or I mean no disrespect to the Pitt, the fans out there, because Mason Heinzel has been absolutely killing it, even as a true freshman, but he's been the gunslinger, right? So shout out to PFF. They grade the big time throws versus turnover worthy throws, 12 big time throws versus 14 turnover worthy plays. And when you rattle him, i.e., give him not a clean pocket, his passing grade plummets to 32. So this to me is the key. Georgia Tech's defense definitely leaves something to be desired. I'm not going to sugarcoat that whatsoever. But in a high impact game with a true freshman who has been shown to be rattled,
Sure.
when you get pressure, that to me versus the experience of this is why I would lean towards Georgia Tech here at -2.5. And spoiler alert, that is my off the numbers. There's just so much here lining up for Georgia Tech to take this. So I think Pitt's formidable. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think you're asking a lot out of a true freshman.
So okay, Seth. With that being said, with the true freshman back there, if they can't move the ball against this really bad Georgia Tech defense, I mean, they're outside.
They're not good.
They're outside the top 100 in our database in weighted EPA and success rate allowed. So if they're not going to do it against Georgia Tech, they're never going to do it, right? So is that like is that a perfect enough mix, you think, to Steve's point for Pitt to maybe play spoiler in this one?
Yeah, 100%. I think, and the raw model that makes this Pitt -1. So it's more like a pick 'em here. I mean, the market at a college game being under 3 is basically essentially a pick 'em. But yeah, I think Georgia Tech here is setting themselves up to get into a shootout, coming off of a really, 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 really nail-biting shootout that they were in last week that they were lucky to be on the right side of. And Pitt, to me, has some signature wins. We saw them. We were on them when they were against Florida State here. So we know that they can play a talented roster that is playing for a lot, right? And some of the numbers that jump out to me here, Georgia Tech weighted defensive EPA 102nd in the nation, Pitt number 8. When we look at points per Eckel, Georgia Tech 104th in defensive points per Eckel. So they are allowing teams to finish those drives. Now, Pitt is 82nd, so they're not necessarily holding teams themselves, but when we look on the offensive side of the ball, they're almost the exact same team on points per Eckel, 53 and 57th respectively for these two teams. So to me, I think this is going to be a shootout. How much does Georgia Tech have left in the tank after last week, after barely making it out? Here we go again.
Sure.
Obviously Pitt got the shit beat out of them at home. I don't know. To me, this is a shootout. It's a coin flip to me. I don't have a lot of conviction, but I think the model is picking up here that Georgia Tech likely not going to be able to stop Pitt. Now, Is that enough? Can Georgia Tech score enough? Maybe, but it's going to likely be a coin flip game till the end. And when you live by the sword, die by the sword. They barely made it out last week. We'll see what happens. Obviously, we have Miami to make the playoff tickets. We would really like them to lose this game.
Yeah, a shootout you predict, a shootout you may get. The market total in this one is 62 median. So
yeah, that sounds right to me.
Yeah, expecting points, and a few more points indeed. So yeah, big time implication here. So all right, we'll circle back to this one briefly when we get to off the numbers to Steve's point here. So all right, 3 down, 1 to go, ladies and gentlemen. As a reminder for everyone, at the end of this, we got our free model play coming up, so don't go anywhere. But before we get there, before we talk about off the numbers, let's get there. One more matchup to talk about. BYU, the Mormon Magic, baby, going up against Cincinnati Bearcats here. So market standpoint, Seth, again, relatively coin flip game. This one went up in -2 in favor of BYU. Ticked up to 2.5 there. Looks like it's kind of selling there at the moment throughout. Our model makes this a 1.5 in favor of BYU, so not seeing any value on either side of this one. Obviously, again, implication standpoint here, BYU can make the title game here with the Big 12 title game here with the win. They also need help they need an ASU loss and a Houston loss, and then they're in the title game here. So obviously, huge incentive for BYU to take care of business. the market total, for what it's worth, this has been bought up a couple of 2.5 points really since open here. So maybe a little bit of a foreshadowing for what we're kind of expecting here. So because Cincy, Seth, is they're good. They're elite on offense. They in our database number 6th in passing, 10th in rushing. But that BYUD again, nothing to scoff at. 4th overall against the pass, and 31st, solid average against the rush here. So given those two kind of high level comparisons there, I mean, does BYU traveling across the country here to Cincinnati got what it takes to pull out a win?
Yeah, well, and they're coming off of a just stomping of TCU last week, but the model is calling this another Big 12 kind of coin flip. We make the game exactly a pick 'em here, and I think what the model is really picking up is the good defense for BYU and a kind of a medium to median offense for BYU going up against a really good Cincy offense and a less than average defense for Cincinnati. So in likelihood, this will be a shootout. Like you're saying, the market has been buying points. That makes a ton of sense. Both these offenses are likely to have success against both of these defenses. Now, they're scoring relatively similar on their drives. Cincinnati number 38 in points per equal on offense and BYU number 40th. So both getting around 4.8 per equal. So I think the scoring there is going to be equal. I think both these defenses are going to struggle. Now, how they do that is a little bit different. BYU wants to run the ball, 2% run rate over expected, whereas Cincinnati wants to throw the ball with a 2% pass rate over expected. So I think that is going to be an interesting matchup because BYU struggles more against the rush than they do defending the pass. So I wonder if Cincinnati is going to be willing to switch that up, or if they're going to be able to kind of have enough success throwing the ball that they stay where they're at. And then the other side of the ball, defensive scoring on defensive points per equal, 20th and 21st at 3.9 points per drive. So to me, these teams are very, very identical. They score similar. They have similar rates of drive success on both offense and defense. It's going to be a coin flip. I tend to want to kind of believe the BYU story here, but Cincinnati coming off a loss, they obviously had a kind of a brutal awakening that they got beat by a mediocre Arizona team. BYU back to business, spanking that ass TCU. To me, I want to kind of side on the team that likely can have a little bit more success throwing the ball. Because late in the game, that could be where you can pull away, get that extra big explosive that you need to get that last minute field goal. So I think I tend to lean Cincinnati here.
Okay. Yeah. So Steve, I don't know if you have a different perspective on that, because where my mental model is on this one, this could very well be over simplistic here, but BYU to me is this more balanced team. And being a coin flip game here, can you fall back on that and assume that they're going to cover or win in this one? Because again, you have good solid offenses really on both sides, but the defense for Cincinnati is that leaves a little to be desired, right, from that side of the ball. So yeah, from your vantage point and how you see the numbers and the game script flowing in this one, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, first I want to take a step back. Mediocre Arizona team. I mean, listen, Arizona beat Cincinnati,
Homer.
and they damn near
Hold on. We're gonna mute
BYU.
We're gonna mute him for a second because he's just full on Homer mode. So I'm gonna give him a second to
I'll pick it up. No, I take it back. Arizona, Heisman, they're gonna make the CFP. I don't know what I was thinking.
Listen, it's not my fault NAU is ass, Kevin. All right. Now that being said, yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, yeah, this is.
I'll just mute myself now.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I think Steph said it, very well. I mean, there's definitely going to be things to exploit for each of these teams going into this. And, we look at BYU and what Barry Bachmeier has done. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? I mean, we've seen this offensive play and what they've been able to do through the air, and I think that's going to continue to happen here. But when you look at Cincinnati, or let me take a step back. When you look at BYU, I think you're going to have to attack Cincinnati's corners, and we've seen that be weakness throughout the year. We saw it in Arizona, we saw it against Iowa State, and we saw it against Kansas. And so when you talk about can Bachmeier do that, I think the answer is absolutely yes. And then on the flip side, you're right. We talked about Cincinnati and being able to throw the ball and what Sorsby has done. I do agree, but BYU, conversely, has really good corners, and Cincinnati tends to struggle getting separation in the man coverage, which is what BYU loves to do. So I think they're going to have to be willing to run the ball because that's where they can exploit this at. Yeah. When you look at them, again, 10th overall in EPA per run this season, 10th in run blocking, 11 in yards per carry, and 19th overall in rushing grade. Like, this is where the success is gonna have to come if you're gonna be able to knock this team off. So I'm with you. This is definitely gonna be a matter of how ego driven are these teams going to be? How flexible are they willing to be? But if Cincinnati can't do that, then to me, this has BYU kind of written all over it.
Yeah, sure. And just to kind of close the loop on what I start, by mentioning that total's been bought up by 2.5 points at a market maker. This is the number is currently at 54.5. So
fairly low.
Yeah, and still relatively low, all things considered. So we'll see. I mean, but to your point, Seth, this could be just a classic Big 12. Nobody knows what the hell's going to happen.
I literally wrote down another Big 12 cannibalism. Like it eats itself. It's really difficult Texas Tech has really been one of the strongest Big 12 teams we may have ever seen.
Yeah, which is wild, right? All things considered. So
yeah,
all right.
Especially for the most overrated college football team of all time.
Exactly right. Exactly. Anything's possible in the Big 12. That's the motto for sure. All right. So we got it, boys. We got 4 good matchups. No SEC bias on this show. Damn it. We didn't even talk about any.
Because they're all playing FBS. Like
there's one FBS decent matchup. I think Missouri is playing Oklahoma this week, right? I think.
Oh.
But beyond that,
those are like basically not even SEC schools.
Oh, damn. Here we go. So, yeah. All right. We got it. 4 good matchups in the books. Again, a lot of CFB, a lot of conference game implications at hand for college football week 13. So, all right. We got 2 things left to do, boys. Let's do it. Let's jump off the numbers here real quick. Friendly competition that is starting to take shape, at least for one of us here, I'll say. So, year to date, leading the pack, 8-5 overall. And let me see, I gotta pull up my handy dandy sheet here. So unit wise, that's good for 2.6 units year to date. So 8-5 win-loss record. I am taking my talents over to the Minnesota and Northwestern game. This is the lowest total of the week at 40.5. And I don't think it's low enough. I'm going under 40.5. Minnesota and Northwestern -110. FanDuel. I got this at FanDuel. So don't need to be cute or over analyze too much about this one, but this is really 2 bottom half efficiency poor offenses going up against each other. Minnesota is on top of this 74th in points per echo. So even if they do get a few quality drives strung together, they're probably not going to convert into touchdowns. They're probably going to settle for field goals. Northwestern is 93rd in that same category. Northwestern D, for what it's worth, little devil's advocate, they're outside the top 100 in defensive efficiency in terms of EPA, but 19th in points per echo allowed. So again, even if both teams can get to the red zone or in scoring position, I don't have a ton of faith that they will consistently be able to score those touchdowns. So I think it's going to be hard to reach 40 without some fluke shit happening, non-offensive scores, special teams, etc. So give me under 40.5. And let's hope for an ugly one. So, all right, that is where I'm at. Steve, you've had a nice little recent win streak here, 2 in a row. I think you've hit it here. So you're 6-6 on the year, I believe. So you mentioned you're on Georgia Tech -2.5. Any lasting points you want to mention on that one that you didn't get to?
Yeah, I mean, one, we got to make sure we check your math on this whole unit stuff because I still have not seen the numbers. I don't know if I believe
it's there. It's there, baby.
But okay. Yeah, no. I mean, nothing really more to add there. I think this is one of those things where this is definitely a subjective play over an objective. Everything we just talked about. There's plenty of reasons why Pitt will be in this game, but this is the season. This is quite literally the season for Georgia Tech. For the chance to get in the ACC, chance to get in the CFP. So give me a coin flip -2.5 under a field goal. I'm going to take that all day. -110 ESPN bet.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Chance for you to get into the win column, win-loss record-wise, and also profit-wise. So shout out.
Wait, see, this is what I'm talking about. I've had a couple of plus money bets, and I don't think I have anything under or over -110.
Check
that
check
I've
the
lost.
Check the auditor.
Audit the auditor. Yes, indeed. All right. Hit me next week then. Let's see what happens. All right. Nonetheless, we digress on that one. So rounding us out here, Seth, take us home. My man is bringing up the caboose here. He's 4-8 year to date. It's a good thing he's crushing it in the NFL. I got to give him the credit there. But yeah, talk about a cold streak. I think you've lost 4 or 5 in a row now. To your credit, to Steve's point, you had a parlay last week. Goddamn it!
Yeah, that was literally the hardest part of the leg. Freaking cashed.
I mean,
that is true.
Hey, if only right. But nonetheless, you're 4-8. What do you got this week for off the numbers? What are you going?
Yeah, I'm going to the SEC here for one of the cupcake games. Georgia versus Chattanooga. Give me Georgia -43. I think Kirby in these spots tends to take his foot off the pedal, but a raw model on this is 50. And what I'm kind of my angle for this, because the market is selling, they're buying the Kirby doesn't cover these spreads. And I would mostly agree here, except that you've already played all your SEC games, and this is your time to get your backups in the game and give them reps and give them live bullet reps. And those guys have been chomping at the bit. So this is their time to go out there, and they get to do it against one of the worst teams in the nation in Chattanooga, who can't do anything offensively or defensively. I'm thinking that we're going to see maybe a full quarter backups, but it's full throttle offense, them trying to score on every drive here. And I think we get a couple of, backdoor scores, so to speak, that aren't coming from the first team, but that second team, those reps are really, really vital. And so I think we're going to get their best shot. And again, it's against a really weak opponent. So I think that they're going to have successful drives there. And I think that's what's going to send us over.
Okay. And
cover the spread.
Just to clarify, did you get a 43 or did you get a 43.5?
43.5 is the best number. Yeah. 43.5 -110 over at FanDuel.
All good. Just making sure for audit purposes,
Yeah. Gotta audit the auditor.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Off the numbers in the books, marquee matchups in the books. 36
Wait, I'm 4-8. How many units am I down though?
Yes. Unit wise, you are down 3.1
million units.
Okay.
How many?
3.1 units. And
so you were sweating then when Alabama could have easily.
Oh, you could have been. Yeah.
Beat them on success rate, yards per play.
Yeah. Did they get really beat that bad? No, they did not. Yeah.
They did not. They actually beat the shit out of Oklahoma.
Exactly. Right,
yeah, Georgia. Can I quadruple units? Can I degen?
If you feel so inclined,
I'll save it.
Okay, he's saving it. All right. Well, speaking of saving, we saved the best for last, baby. We got one thing left to do. Let's talk about it. Boom, baby. All right, 5-3 since we started giving out the free plays year to date here on the show. So we got another one for you. We mentioned we got 6 total plays. I think we can bring that card up in a minute or just show you what the value's at. But the free value that we're on this week, ladies and gents, we're going to JMU. JMU -13.5 against Washington State here. So JMU's been in freaking wagon recently, baby. So talk a little bit, Seth, briefly about where the value is coming from this one and why we expect to cover.
For every which way, JMU's better on both sides of the ball, running, throwing, and like you said, they've been on fire. Our models really like them this season. I think we've been on them a number of times, a number of different weeks. Their offense just really seems to be able to pull away and clicking on all cylinders. And this Washington State defense and team really has had a struggling season. They struggled against a really bad, as you know, Kevin, Oregon State team. They ended up losing that game. And so I think this is a really good spot for JMU to kind of beat up on a perennial name, RIP back the Pac-12, or I guess they're still representing the Pac-12. So they get to kind of carry the name forward of what, unfortunately, the Pac-12 will be, which is getting beat by JMU.
I was going to say, let's hope the Pac-12 just does not show out, or Pac-2 does not show up this week.
Yeah, it really hasn't all season.
That's except for, you're right about that. So, all right, sounds good, baby. JMU -13.5 is the official play this week, and we tease it once or twice, but we got 6 official plays heading into college football week 13 here. So here's kind of a snapshot of the games that we're on. The Arizona Baylor game, we got the Georgia Southern and Old Dominion, Michigan, Maryland. Yeah, so good solid volume this week. Again, not too crazy here with only 2 weeks left in the season. So looking forward to keeping the good times rolling. Again, we're 60% year to date on the model. So shoot, even if we go 0-6.
Yeah,
Even if we go 0-6.
we cannot not be profitable this season. It's
So that would be
mathematically impossible.
Well, leave it
and
to Kevin's math, but
44.
yeah.
Okay, timeout.
I'm excited that we're on this Utah State game, like a late game, the latest game. Like
57% if we went 0-2, 0-6 this week.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, you're
We're
excited
very
for which one?
profitable. We're very sharp. Unfortunately, if you haven't signed up this season, I mean, you got what? I think we'll probably have like another 20 plays, including these 6.
Yeah, you 100%.
So what, you'll go like maybe 12, 13, and
yeah, you're not going to get a ton of volume. That's obvious though.
But this is what it like is. Yeah, it's nice to win. But I'm excited to be on this late game. Like I don't like just for the love of the game. Last game of the day.
Yeah, if you can't get Hawaii, at least you get this. Oh, and I do want to give me one quick shout out. Easy CBB has been great to begin the year as well. We do also have the college basketball models that we're doing. A little bit different because of the sheer value, but love to see that you guys are on there. Love to see that it is working how we intended and is making you profitable. You can always see that at btb-analytics.com. So thanks for the plug, Easy.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Not a paid actor.
Just, well, yeah, I guess that's true. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been real. 2 weeks left in the regular season. We'll be back next. We'll hold on that. We'll see when we'll be back. But
actually, Seth, can you go first?
Oh, I was going to say, next time we talk, though, we will talk about CFP stuff. So we'll have all the simulations ready, and we'll be ready to maybe fire on some spots. We'll have a lot more information after this week. Georgia Tech will come into to hopefully lose, and that'll bring things into perspective. But yeah, it's coming down to it. So it'll be the time to fire on some playoff different brackets, basically.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Is that where you were going, Steve, or Jeff?
That's exactly where I was going. If you guys love the CFP, be sure to tune in. We'll make sure to have that for you because it's a lot of good info. We use a simulation, shout out Unabated, and it's different. It's different when you're betting with data and you're betting with these simulations. They can be very powerful. So hopefully there's some value still left.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it definitely will be.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, all right, we will be back, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate the comments. Appreciate the engagement. One last plug. If you're not already subscribed, please do so on our YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok, wherever you get your content. Helps us out. It helps us out a lot. And don't forget to keep those notifications turned on. We have a free Discord as well. Join it. We spit a lot of game. We talk a lot of ball in there as well. So it's free to join. We'd like to engage with everyone as well as much as we can. So good times can be had, baby. So, all right, week 13 on deck. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, next week. Until then, good night. Good luck. We'll see you.